So I'm going to hopefully have enough reception to help from the back end go over what we did last night. Um, Nick and Alisher and Ross, I'm not sure who's behind the Tech in School PFP, but Alisher, I'll try to bring you up as we do this. We'll see how well it works. Um, yeah, it's going to be a day. So we just want to make sure that Cash Money Kev has stable internet connection, and we'll see how this works. Alisher, you want to test your mic, hon?
Good morning, guys. We're back to our Thursday recaps.
Excellent. Okay, so this is beautiful. I want to welcome Epic and Haley and Phantom. See that Kirk has also arrived, so we'll let people shuffle in. It usually takes about 7 minutes. That is the going rate. It's not that people don't want to show up on time. It's that, you know, Twitter can be a beast sometimes. And so we'll allow technology to help us be better humans and learn our little patience and such. Once again, I'm apologizing for the echo. I am in a shed that I am converting into a makerspace for many folks that have followed this journey. We're going to be hosting a printing press, amongst other things, in here for young makers. But I'm hiding here because I have two dogs that are in heat and one that is absolutely going bazonkers. Like, he will not stop barking. So we're just going to sit out here and enjoy everything. If you can fire up your laptops, we're going to hit the ground running. Um, and this is a quick go through. So for those that got everything to work last night, this is muscle memory. So you're going to go through the steps and make sure that you understand them, because sometimes I'll speak for myself. I'm going through the motions, flying by the seat of my pants. And the next morning when I look at what I did, I'm like, I have no idea how that happened. And so I have to kind of go back and relive the experience, and sometimes going through it with a different voice. So this time, Alisher is going to be helping us out. It helps solidify. You never know. You could get the same exact information, and it just hits differently. From any of you that have had teenagers, if a mom and dad tell the teenager, clean your room, the room's not going to get cleaned. But if a college kid comes in and says, hey, kid, you should clean your room, they sweep it up. I mean, it's just the way human nature is. Sometimes hearing it from a different point of view works. And I know that every single one of you understand what I just said, because there are certain people that walk on water when you're a teenager and it's not your parents. So I'll just give you that. I see that titles come in, and um, Dan has also arrived. So we've got almost everybody. I think Rutro and Julie are expected to come back. You'll get to know these folks too, by the way. Um, as you continue to come in and be a part of the ecosystem, the folks that are taking classes daily or, each season, you're going to get to know them. And what's so fun and so profound is that the relationships that you build in these spaces are built around building something. And when that happens, something profound happens. It's just really, really cool. When you have a shared time, space, tools, and ideas, the folks that you are in there with kind of embed themselves in whatever it is that you're building. That's why maker spaces are so special. And this being social audio is a digital makerspace. So we're all meeting together on the same time, space, on the timeline of history, and we're all using the same tools. And in this class particularly, unlike the 3 previous seasons, we are all using the same tools. We're all going to do the same project. And instead of having scattershot, you're just kind of looking at it and going, I'm going to do this project through the prism of my experience and tailor it to you and what your needs are. And it's a very cool thing. So I'm really happy that all of you are here and that you're taking the time out of your schedule to invest in yourself. It's the tithe of giving that time back to yourself to improve your own skill set, but also keep your mind agile and that neuroplasticity that folks talk about. The more that you do this and get out of your comfort zone, you're helping your future self in ways that you have no idea, that endless curiosity and wonder. So I think we've got a lot of folks in here now. I see that Josh has arrived and Morgan has arrived. I love Morgan. If you don't know her, you should, because she's just such a special gem. Um, I want to test Cash Money. Do you have your mic live, friends? And how is the stability issue? I'm not having any more flashy. We're going to end the space morning, so I think you're doing okay. How are you, friends?
I'm great, Sarah. I'm great. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, I don't know what was going
Cash
on
Money,
there for.
you gotta speak up, friends. Otherwise, we're gonna have a hard time today. I'll let me
Wait,
tell you.
give me one
I'm
second.
bringing up Dan just in
It might be
case.
the Bluetooth. One second. All right, how I just turned off my Bluetooth, maybe my
All right,
AirPods
I've
are
got
on.
a question. I saw his mic go off. How many people heard anything from Cash Money? If
I
you
heard him.
heard him, yep. Okay, so I'm the problem. It's a Sarah problem. I'm going to take and run a lap before we start, just to make sure. Dan, while I'm gone and taking a lap, introduce yourself and say hi to the folks, and then Alisher's going to begin. And just, I will return shortly.
I got you. Yeah. I just actually wanted to further, explore some of the points you made. I agree 100%. We are all getting into the mucky muck and the murky murk together. And that has been just life changing for me. And I know for so many others because when it's the same as strength training. It's time under tension. it's I know I see Josh here in the room. He's really amazing fitness expert, but time under tension builds your muscle. I also wanted to just give Hallie a shout out because I just met her like last week, and I said like maybe 30 minutes later, "Hey, you want to do a live stream and learn how to do that and write a song?" And she's like, "Sure." So it's so good to see you here, Hallie, and you have that you found your people. So glad to see you.
Awesome, Dan. Sarah, and everybody else, I'm just gonna do a quick mic check. Just give me a quick thumbs up if my mic sounds good. Okay, thank you, Dan. Awesome, Sarah. I don't know
I
what was
can
going on.
hear you. Yep. No, it just happens every once in a while. I think when you rescued the space, it made it so that I couldn't hear it. But that's okay. We're all learning together, and hopefully, folks, when they see the MacGyvering that happens, they'll know how to handle their own spaces. That's always a plus. So I see that Starboss is here also. So I think we've got everybody other than Rutro, but and Julie Todd. So if you see them, have them come on in. But I think we're going to begin. Alisher, are you ready to go, friends?
Oh yeah, we could start. I was just going to publish this from the last from the first season actually. This is week one from the first season, and this has a lot of the links that we have used for Visual Studio Code, GitHub, Node.js, Vercel. So this has all the prerequisites that we have previously used, so you guys get a little refresher. So let me just throw that into the Twitter.
Alisher, I had a question last night, and I think maybe I'm putting it out there into the universe. Um, Before we start a season, have folks know exactly what we need. I know that we were talking about downloading because we had mentioned, for folks that weren't here, we did mention, Node.js and make sure that you have all of your bells and whistles, Vercel and all that everything downloaded. But things like Stripe, because if they hadn't been in the first three seasons, that may have been foreign to them. And here in the United States, getting a Stripe account can take a long time depending on your bank. And so making sure that we have all the bells and whistles and I's dotted, T's crossed, I'm going to make an effort to do better in that respect, because there were a couple folks that were blindsided last night, and I felt bad because I think that's on me as an educator. I should tell you, hey, by the way, you should have this laundry list, and even just posting it a couple hours before class is kind of what I'm thinking too, just so folks aren't blindsided like that, because it can screw up your whole night if you are like, wow, I can't continue because I don't have a freaking Stripe account. And I understand and feel that pain. So I don't want to, not include anybody. So if you got hung up on that last night, just know that all of the classes are not only recorded, but documented. And Dan does a fantastic job in the Slack channel. So the laundry list or the checklist, I know Dave Meir does it also in Notions for the class too. So really lean into your classmates because we all learn differently. This is the most beautiful thing about now in the whole entire timeline of history. You used to have to conform to whatever style was being taught, right? And now we have the tools to modify the material in the way that we learn. And so that's one of the coolest pieces of this puzzle is that, we all learn differently. We all kind of absorb the information differently. And so just, relish in the fact that you're unique and awesome and that we have the tools now that recognize you and can augment your superpowers. So, all right, that's out of the way. Alisher, my friend, I love you. Go ahead.
Yeah, and, I totally understand, but I think the idea of um, of last night was to actually go into this a little bit blind, so you're able to navigate and understand what you need to do. If you start with a project blind, if you just find a project on GitHub, because that's what's going to happen to me. Because last night I actually did not do anything. I was traveling. I was on my way here to our office, and I ended up not being able to do anything. So what you guys are going to see is that I'm going to start from scratch. Now I already have some things installed, just like a lot of us do from season one, and you guys are going to see how actually easy and not as complex as you might have felt like it was last night. Um, because even me myself, with just listening, I felt like it was a little bit complex. But I think once we go through this again, and you guys are going to see that, oh, actually, this setup takes less than 30 minutes, or maybe even less than that. Okay, so
I
let's see.
think that's so cool. And I am thankful, Alisher, that you're doing this because this is very cool. You're absolutely right. Adaptability. And I think the one word that you used last night when we were on the phone was resilience. And that is definitely a skill for now, is that the ability to adapt and the flexibility and the mindset, that maker mindset that says, hey, I'm getting a whole bunch of out of my comfort zone and don't know anything, um, this is an opportunity for you to learn how to adapt and think on your feet too. So it is a very valuable skill. Alisher, did we have the live feed? I'm flying blind a little bit. So I wanted to make sure that everybody can see that we have the live feed on Innovators Think Tank, and give a thumbs up if you're watching it. We understand that you're toggling screens. So, and there is a delay also. So since there's a delay for you listeners, if that's a problem, come up and be a speaker so you can hear it in real time. If you know that that's going to bug you and it's gonna irritate you, come up as a speaker role so that we can make sure that you're in time with the video, because the video also has a delay. So it's just a compounding factor. All right. Okay, go ahead, Alisher. I apologize once again for interrupting your flow.
Yeah, so there's a live stream right at the top, and it's also on the Innovators Think Tank website. So you can pick whichever one you want to. What I like to do is I like to go to the replies of the space on my phone, and then I can actually see the live stream there as well. You don't even have to click on it to see it. You just see it as like this little preview. So that's what I usually do.
Smart cookie. Smart cookie. All right, let's get her going.
All right, guys. So the first place we're going to start is GitHub. Right? You want to get a GitHub account. You'll need this for almost every project you'll do. Now, on GitHub, some of the things you guys went over last night was, well, the README, I think Sharon mentioned, is very important. The README is actually going to tell you in a situation when you're going in blind, you don't really know what the project is about, how this project works. Here it's telling us, this is a SaaS template, you can charge subscriptions, blah, blah, blah. Users can log in, and then from there you can build whatever you want. It tells you what it uses. So this uses Stripe, gives you a little link right here, Drizzle, Postgres, Next.js, and ShadCN, which you guys are familiar with Vercel and V0 and that AI platform that creates UI and different UI elements using artificial intelligence. Well, they actually use Shatsian. Um, and if you guys use AI Tutor and used artifacts, that also uses Shatsian. So you're able to take elements from those AI generators and implement them into your app. This is kind of what makes it a little bit easier than the SaaS starter that we did in season one. Now, here we have some commands to run this locally, but we're not there yet. So this is giving us all the instructions. Now, typically what you want to do, if you see a project that you really like, you can either start a project or you can fork it. You can do both as well. Now, forking the project actually adds it to your account. So right now, what you're going to see, this is in Lee Robinson's account. You know, because it says Lee Rob / next SaaS starter here at the top. And now we're going to fork it. I'm going to keep the name the same, copy the main branch. And once you fork it, you'll see that actually goes to your account. Right now it goes to A Farhadi 99, which is my account. Next SaaS starter. Okay, cool. So now I have a copy of this. Now what you want to do is you want to bring this onto your computer. Right? You want to be able to edit this particular piece of code, this project, because there's a lot of files here, and navigating through GitHub could get a little bit hard. For small changes, you can go to GitHub, you can make a quick change, but if you're going to fully build this out, you definitely want to have this on a local computer, editing locally, using Visual Studio Code or anything else that you prefer. With GitHub Desktop. Now, if you don't have GitHub Desktop, this will actually take you to the page, this button to download it. It's the easiest way to manage your GitHub projects. You can do it using command line, but that's pretty complicated. And downloading the zip is just not going to have that connection where you can push the project up. Ooh, Dan, you have your hand up?
Yeah, just real quick question. I meant to ask it last night, but the little box that says copy the main branch only, that it defaults to being checked. Just wanted to make sure, that's what we want to do.
Yeah. Yep. So also basically what that means, it's a good thing that you bring it up. Each project has like a version of it that's called a branch, right? Sometimes people would make a branch and start making different edits, and then they would take a branch and they would merge it into main. But typically, when you're on the project, the main branch will always be like the latest branch that works. But yeah, if it defaults to me, you want to leave it as that. If there are any other instructions, like use a different branch, well, then you could always fork a different branch whenever you're forking it. For us, this project actually only has one branch. But sometimes, for example, what we do, if we ever have any updates, we would make a new branch, we would name it like the date that it's supposed to be delivered. And that's how we differentiate between like different versions of our website. Each branch is essentially a new version with whatever changes that you make. And this is what GitHub is really good for. You can merge things. It'll tell you if you have errors somewhere. It'll give you a chance to like select if you want to use the new code or the old code. Okay, now let's see. Where is my copy? Go forward. Now, if you already made a branch, it actually won't let you make a new branch. Another fork. Sorry, if you made a fork, you can't create another one. But now this one's mine. I know it's mine because there's my username and it says fork from Lee Rob. Now let's go to code and let's open the GitHub desktop. Okay, in this case, here's my GitHub desktop. Now, this is going to give you an option. If you want to change the URL, you wouldn't need to, it autofills. And you want to select where you want to start saving this project. and where it's gonna be. So for me, this works. This is where all of my projects are. Typically, it'll make like a folder in your C drive, in your main drive, in your documents. But I put it somewhere else. And when I click clone, it's gonna bring in all of the code. Now, here's what's important. You wanna select for my own purposes here, because this will start committing it and saving it to your account rather than trying to send like a notification that somebody's trying to save the original project. So you just want to, I guess, read through this carefully. Okay, and now we have it locally. So that was the main part, is actually getting this project onto our computer. Now is where we start connecting everything. So let's see what we need for this. So we need a database, Postgres. Do they specify which one? Doesn't look like it. So I guess we'll use Neon. So Neon gives you an option for Postgres. Supabase also has Postgres, but for our purposes, since we're using Vercel, they're a lot better integrated. Neon also has like a more generous free tier. They don't just start turning off your databases like Supabase. And let's see if I have an account already. Oh, nice. Looks like they let you log in with Google. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get a fresh new account just for our Thursday sessions. Okay. So we'll keep everything default. We'll just give it a name. I'll call this Thursday ITT. Database name. We'll call this SaaS starter. Free plan. All right. We'll create the project. And we'll skip the connection for now.
What did we call the database project? Sorry. I'm like, wait.
Can you repeat that?
What did we call the database name?
You can name it whatever you want to name it.
Okay.
I mean,
It doesn't
just
matter.
something that I'm able to identify as our Thursday project, because we'll get back to it eventually.
Yeah, last night Ross had mentioned that he had named them all the same.
Neon, right?
Yes. So don't do that. Do as we say.
That's what
not
I
as
was
we
trying
did.
to stay away from. I'll just name it something that Alisher wants us to.
1980s. No, neon.
Alisher.
Flashdance. Whatever.
I just named mine season 4. So
There you
that's
go.
fine.
Good idea, Dan. I'm borrowing that.
That's good. I should name this season 4. That's a lot easier to identify. Okay, now let's see. Password. I don't remember give me a password. All right. Oh, there you go. Show password. I might need to do this off the screen. Okay, so we have our database. We made the account. Now we
Wait,
actually
wait,
want to connect.
Alisher, you have one question from Hallie first.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Hi, Alisher. I am still having that problem where it says no local changes on my end of the desktop site. So I dropped a picture in the chat if anybody knows how to troubleshoot this part. I'd appreciate a detail.
Yeah, that's not a problem. Because check this out. If you're on stream, I'm gonna pull up my GitHub desktop and it says no local changes. What that means is the files that are connected to your GitHub, like .com GitHub website, they haven't been changed locally yet. So we haven't made any code changes. We haven't made any changes to the appearance of the website and how it functions. The only thing we changed is the env, and the env actually does not get connected to GitHub. It actually gets ignored because that's a safety precaution that developers typically take. They tell GitHub, please ignore these files. So it's not an error. It's just telling you that the files that are connected to your GitHub haven't been modified or changed in any way. And we'll start getting to that in season two. In week 2, 3. What we're going to start doing is creating pages that connect to our API. But yeah, this is not an error. This means you're all set. Your GitHub is working. It's connected. And once you install Visual Studio Code, which is what you typically use to edit code and different code files, it's going to open the whole project for you. You're going to have this button that says Open in Visual Studio Code, which is this is like the easiest way to start editing your project.
You said
With that-
to download which program?
Visual Studio Code. It's let's see, it's a Microsoft program.
Do you need a link for that, Haley? Or Hallie? Sorry.
Yes, please. That would be wonderful.
Sure, sure.
Thank
Give me
you.
1 sec. I'll grab it right now.
Morgan, you rock. I love you. You got it faster than I did.
Oh,
Yeah,
I thought you meant the site. I'm like, wait, I didn't post it yet.
Once you download it, what I recommend is you close GitHub Desktop and reopen it, and then you'll probably get this button that says Open in Visual Studio Code.
Alistair, just do me a favor and double check my link just to make sure I've got the right one. I'm throwing it in the chat right now, and I'll put it up on the Jumbotron.
Awesome, thank you. And this is what Visual Studio Code typically looks like. You're going to have your files on the left side, and then you're going to have this window where you can edit the files. I guess what's good in this case is that it actually opens the whole project, and whenever you run something, it runs within that project, and you're able to like install different extensions. But we won't get to that. This program, we only really cover a small part of it. There's a lot more that it does that even I don't use.
Okay, I'm sorry to keep asking questions. I have no idea what I'm doing. So I have that downloaded now, and I'm on that screen, and so I have both screens now pulled up. I just don't know which to click.
Hallie, just hang tight.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out
Alistair will
where you.
pick up.
Sorry.
Yep, they're figuring it out. So don't lose your thought. And if you have a screenshot, that always helps them see. But you don't ever apologize for asking questions either. We're all kind of learning together, and so some of the questions that you have, someone else probably has also. So that's no problem. Hakuna Matata, as we say. So, Alistair, did you see where she's at, love?
Do we lose him?
I don't know. I'm showing him still as a speaker. There might be
Yeah.
a glitch.
I see where
Oh,
he
there
is.
he is.
I see where he is in the replies. But what I'm hoping is once you download Visual Studio Code and open it, and you go through like that setup, you will restart your GitHub desktop, and then hopefully this button appears. And if it doesn't, what you can do is you can actually open the folder manually. So I guess the easiest way to do it is if you're still on the screen in GitHub Desktop, you should see an option, a button that says, let's see. Let me go back to your screenshot. Open in Finder. or Show and Finder. So I have Show and Explorer, you have Show and Finder. And then this is actually going to open the whole folder for you. So this is going to open all these files. And what you can do is you can go one level up, so one folder up, and you can drag the whole project. So for me, and I think for most of us, this project is going to be called Next SaaS Starter. You can actually drag that whole thing into Visual Studio Code.
The live stream is a little bit behind. Sorry, you're saying drag the the next SaaS starter into GitHub.
Into Visual Studio Code.
Oh, okay, I see.
This editor.
Okay, I see now. Okay, thank you.
Perfect, perfect. I think Dan has a question too, Alisher.
Yeah, I think I'm just getting my Visual Studio set up as well. So Hallie, I think you and I are probably in about the same spot. And there is the little box that says trust the authors of all files in the parent folder GitHub, and it is not defaulted to checked. So the choice is no, I don't trust the authors, or yes, I trust the authors. So is that saying the authors of the SaaS starter with the MIT license, like we can trust it? Is that safe sus, or is it sus, like I don't trust the authors?
It's not sus at all.
Okay, so I can trust them. Okay, cool.
Safe sus. I like that.
Oh, that's season 3 nomenclature.
I would say safe sus is if it's a company that's not a $1 billion company. And Vercel, so this is coming pretty much straight from their team. You can even investigate. You can go to this person's profile. Let's say Lee Rob. You can read about them. And look at that. It's VP of Product at Vercel. So it's actually, once you do your research, it's actually not sus at all.
Oh, that totally opens up the continuum. That's amazing, because it goes from sus to safe sus in the middle to just safe because it's Vercel.
What's really cool too is that My AI Tutor, if you're using the Llama version or ones that are in real time hooked to the internet, you can even ask them about it. I did last night because I'm like, dude, I didn't even know that this guy was who he said he was. You can leverage the ability for it to aggregate more data, and you can even pull up everything. So don't be afraid to use the tools that are at your fingertips. It may seem kind of weird and internet stalkerish to use your AI to your advantage, but in certain things we have to be careful. Like last season, I wiped out my entire network at the house because of a sus link. So it can happen, and you want to make sure. And I usually am pretty good at those things, and so I was caught off guard. It's not. You should be skeptical, but a good skeptical. So everything from here on out too, we don't have training wheels, so you're accountable for your actions. So if something makes you feel weird, you know what, take that friction moment to go ahead and do your own research, figure it out, and then decide for yourself whether you're going to pull the trigger. Because Alisher can't sneak into your account from the back end and reinstall it again,
Safe sus.
as he did for me. It's safe sus. That's right. Put it on a coffee
Safe
mug.
sus.
Coffee mug. Whatever's in that coffee mug is safe sus. Okay. So continue, Alisher. Apologies again for the interruption.
Sorry, I had to use the word.
Yeah, you can investigate on GitHub as well. That's a good thing about GitHub is all of these developer profiles, they have bios, they have links here. You can even see what this person has been contributing to in these projects and in projects overall. Like, I know he works at Vercel because he's actually connected to the Vercel GitHub account. So you can't really have that happen unless you know somebody at Vercel who manages this GitHub. And he has all his links there too, so you can probably even message him on X if you have an issue with this starter kit. He'll probably answer.
Alisher, I wanted you to go over one more time because last night I kind of got confused. Ross was mentioning when we are forking, Lee's GitHub, to make sure that we don't do something that will tag him directly. We want to make sure that it's a clone. I just want to make sure to go over that one more time real quick, just to have it on the recording, that was something that we had to make sure because it was stumbling some folks, and we do not want to irritate our open source friendlies by fracking with their repos. Can you go ahead and go over that just real quick?
Yeah, so whenever you open this project in your GitHub desktop, make sure you select that you're going to use it for your own purposes. And then that will assure that you're not committing it to the main repo, or you're sending him notifications.
Yeah, because we want him as a friend, not our friend, not foe. Okay, continue, Alisher. I don't think we have any other questions.
Well, before you even commit, before you even get to that point, it'll ask you a few more times if you really want to send that notification.
It's like the opposite of a butt dial to an X, right? You get a few chances to not make a big error. That's always good. That works in our favor. All right. All right, so we're going to continue. I see that Renan is here. Hopefully he can catch up real quick. And I want to say good morning to all of our new listeners. We are in the middle of a class postmortem from last night, so you're all welcome to sit in and just know that that's what it is. All right, continue, Alisher.
All right, so once you guys have your project open in Visual Studio Code, just take a look at the right side. Make sure you have similar file structure, similar folders. You have app folder, components, lib, and then all of these files here. And the file that has a little $sign next to it, that's going to be our file with all the environment variables and all the different services that we're going to connect to this app. So right now, it's called .env.example. And instead, we're actually going to follow along with some of these instructions that they give us in this example. And here it says, this is what's good about code is developers, good developers, responsible developers, they will leave comments. These green lines of text, they're meant to guide you. So this says this is an example of your .env file format, which pnpm dep setup will create. Okay, we're probably not going to use that command because we're going to go straight to the cloud. Note, this must be .env, not .env.local, without further configuration changes. So we need to rename this file to .env. Right, nowhere in there did it mention example, so this is going to need to be renamed.
Alisher, don't kill me, but I need to. Can I go back a couple steps real quick and take it from? Hold on. I'm pulling it up. So when I open it on the GitHub desktop and I see the no local changes, I'm opening that in Visual Studio Code, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I'm just double checking real quick.
You can get yourself a GitHub desktop a little bit. If you read some of these headers, right, it'll say current repository, next SaaS starter. But yeah, for the most part, we'll have no local changes.
I thought I was going to have to drag the folder into the Visual Studio Code, but I saw the button, so perfect.
Well, yeah, I think you already have VS Code set up.
Yeah,
I mean, we've been using it in the other in the Friday space a lot as well.
I just hate finding folders because I've got too much crap on my computer. So thank you. Sorry.
So if you hate finding folders, the actual folder, there's a button right under Open in Visual Studio Code button that says Show in Finder. So that'll save you the time of looking.
There we go. That makes it easy.
But for you, you have that connection between these two apps, so it's able to just give you that button to open. And what you want to do after Morgan, once you open it, is rename env example file to
Okay.
just .env.
Now, was I supposed to see, sorry, I'm on one computer instead of two. So was I supposed to see how you just had in the GitHub desktop, the same thing that we're looking at in Visual Studio Code, or was that just the folder? When you just had the GitHub desktop opened, it looked like you had what we're seeing on Visual Studio Code opened.
Yeah.
Do I
Because
need that in there?
no, not necessarily.
Okay, okay. Just as
This
long as
just
it's in
tells
VS
me. This just tells me that I have deleted the .env.example file because I
Oh,
renamed it.
okay. Gotcha. So going into my Visual Studio Code and going to the env.example and deleting, you said?
Rename it to
Renaming. Okay.
just
Yeah.
.env. No example.
Okay. Thank you.
We have Kirk with a hand and Dan. So Kirk, why don't you go first, and then Dan, you can jump in.
Just 2 seconds. That solved my migration. Thank you, Alisher. I am migrated.
Are you kidding? Holy smokes, that's awesome. I'm sorry, I'm doing a happy dance for Kirk because that was a big problem for him last night. Very cool. Very, very cool. Dan,
Oh,
did you
yeah.
have an
So-
issue too, friend?
Oh, sorry. So for Kirk, I suspected because you had it named .env.local, right? And then once you got rid of the local part, it started working.
Yeah, well, it was the example. Yeah, that killed it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, I actually was just doing a check for understanding on that very same thing because I didn't know exactly where to rename it, so I was just playing around. I control clicked the sidebar, and that allowed me to rename it. But is there a shortcut, or is like if you're on a PC? I'm always like PC conscious because we're a blended family. I'm a Mac user. My wife is PC.
I'm on a
So-
Mac too, and I just did the control and click.
There's a
Yeah,
drop
but
down that
there
says
is an
rename.
easier way. You can let's see. Let me get one of these files.
Hey, Morgan, just out of
Yeah.
curiosity, do you also use the iPad? Will that same trick work?
Well, iPad is just, I think, just hold down, right?
Yeah, it's a force press
Yeah,
instead
yeah,
of the control
yeah.
click.
That's what I think. It's a
Yeah.
force press. Okay, I just want to make sure that that's on the recording
Well,
because I
you-
know that
you
there
wouldn't
were a number of
really-
people using
You wouldn't
iPads.
really be able to do this on an iPad because there's no Node.js on an iPad.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, very true. Very true. Well, I don't know who was it last night. I think it was Julie Todd that had to, or maybe it was Rutro that had to use her iPad last night as a force backup. It was Rutro, but I want to make sure that that's somewhere on the recording for her because she fracked up her computer gloriously last night. So we want to make sure that it all gets back together. So okay, continue. Dan, you got your answer. Kirk, you got your answer. Alisher, go ahead.
Yeah, renaming. I just tried. Looks like I don't think there's. If you have one of the older Macs, you might have the F2 key that renames it. But yeah, it's control. It's a control click, I think, on the Mac. And but what you could also do is if you go into your Mac settings, it should have an option where if you do the two-finger click, that imitates control click, or like right click. I think that's somewhere in the Mac settings. I think it doesn't come turned on stock. That kind of helps you if you're like used to the right click on Windows. So that's kind of like right click is the click with two fingers on a touchpad.
I need AI to take over my computer so I could just do a 2-click heal so then it knows exactly what I want to do. Just there.
Soon, right?
It's
Apple
coming.
Intelligence.
It's soon.
I need to snap 5 times in order for a certain folder to come up so I don't have to look for it.
Wait, is this like square dancing?
No, what's going to end up happening is, yeah, you're going to do a dance off in front of
There
the
you go.
camera, and that's going to be your cheat code to unlock,
Oh God, what am I gonna
the
move
secrets of the
wrong?
universe.
That's so much pressure, Sarah.
SaaS product idea right there. Capture it.
Ooh.
if you do, give that dinero to the First Robotics team, because I'll tell you what, those dance offs in front of the video games where you're all doing the dance, I think that there is something there. It would help all of our hearts in one way, shape, matter, or form. All right, enough
Wait,
distractions.
don't forget
Let's
with
get
every
back
SaaS
to
product
class.
comes a mug. You need the mug.
Well, the SaaS project, yeah. I mean, anything that can go on a mug can be a SaaS project. I mean, eventually. So, okay. Now we're going to buckle down, folks. We got to get through this.
Okay, so now we got to go back to Neon. Now we have to start filling in those environment variables, those secret keys. And what's good is this example file, it gives you what it's supposed to start with, right? So Postgres URL is going to start with Postgres : / and that's going to connect our database. So I have it in Neon. If you create a project last night, it's going to be in your dashboard. If you did not create a project last night and you just signed up as we were talking about it right now, then you want to make a database. And here in the dashboard of the database, you're going to have what's called a connection string. And if you take a look, this actually starts the same way that the example tells us it'll start. So when you go in here and you copy this, you can click copy snippet. It's going to copy everything for you. And even these stars that are actually your password hidden. So you want to go to Neon, you want to go to your database, your project, and you want to copy the connection string snippet.
So quick question on that. I'm assuming like the little 3 asterisks are just telling you like where we should be pasting it. So if we copy everything after Postgres cool.
So if you copied everything, you wanna go after the equal sign, and that's where you paste it. So you want to get rid of the white text that's there. Keep the equal sign after Postgres URL, and then paste your whole connection string that you copied.
Wait, but if we do copy snippet, it's different?
No, you're supposed to copy snippet, but you're supposed to replace where it says Postgres SQL : / because then it's going to repeat.
Gotcha.
There's actually an easier way. So if you go to connection string in Neon, it tells you where it says connection string. That's actually a button that that gives you all the different ways you can connect to Neon. And we're going to use Next.js. And so in here, you're going to find .env, and then it's going to give you the whole connection string as well with everything there. So if you're unsure what it's supposed to look like, you can actually check it out here as well. So it's the exact same connection string. Zero difference. It's a pretty long string, and you just want to make sure that you don't have Postgres SQL repeating in the beginning. You just want to make sure that it looks like the connection string that you copied. And that's how we connect our database. Now, we have Stripe here. So we're going to have to go and grab our Stripe. And we're also going to need to create auth secret. Okay, so let's start with, we'll keep Stripe like this for now. We'll see if that gives us any errors. For now, we'll connect it before we go live on Vercel. And then auth secret, well, I think that's just a random string, right? So let's take a look at the README. Whenever you, I guess, feel stuck, you can always go to the README and you can start reading what to do next. So let's check this out. We connected our database, and actually this wants us to start installing it. So we'll do that. We'll start installing it, and then we'll we'll connect Stripe and we'll do the auth secret, which I also think is somewhere here. Yeah. So let's get to that. Now for installing it, some of us might have issues. So I guess just be careful with the commands a little bit. But let's start installing all the dependencies. So what you want to do is you want to go to terminal. Terminal is going to be at the top. I'm very zoomed in, so for me, I have to click an extra button. But you're going to look for terminal and you're going to open new terminal. It's going to open a new window for you here on the bottom where you can type commands. Now, the command that it gives us is a pnpm command. It's a little bit different from npm, and you might not have pnpm installed. So, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna use npm instead. Right, whenever you see pnpm, you can use just npm. And the first command you typically want to run is npm install. Now, if you want to use pnpm, you can do that as well. You can try first pnpm install, and if you get an error, well, then you're going to need to install pnpm itself. And to do that, you need to do npm. I know this is getting confusing. Npm install pnpm. So you're saying, hey, Node Package Manager, go and install this better Node Package Manager. And we're going to add this -G, which means globally. So it's going to install this to your computer, and you never have to install it again. But yeah, this is a command to install the package manager that they want you to use. And all these packages, they're pretty much going to make your app work, right? They have different requirements and prerequisites for things like database, Stripe, and whatever else is integrated in here.
I have a question.
Go.
So I'm in the part where I just added the terminal, and it has a percent sign. I'm not sure if I did something incorrectly to get it there. It doesn't say the PS. It doesn't start off the same way as yours.
Yeah, I think it might just be because you're on a Mac. What you can try to do is there's a command to check if you're set up correctly. And that command is node, N-O-D-E, space -V. So if you type that, that's supposed to give you the version of the node you have installed. And
You
if you
said
don't
node
have
dot what?
node space -V.
Okay.
So Hallie, mine is because you are on a Mac, you said.
Yes.
So mine says like, hold on, sorry, going right back to it. Mine says Mo at Morgan's MacBook Pro next SaaS started. So I don't know if you're seeing something like that.
Okay, then that's the same thing. I appreciate everybody coming and telling me that.
Yeah, no problem.
So I'm actually stuck at the adding the terminal because I didn't catch on the live stream how you got that little terminal region to pop
Oh
up.
yeah. So it's right at the top. You might have a terminal option. You might have this button that the 3 dots, and then you have terminal and your terminal.
Would this be the point to cover that part where the terminal setting is not set in Windows for administrator?
If you have fixed it once, then you don't have to do it again. So if you have previously fixed that issue, you don't have to do it again. But yeah, you might run into an issue with the command. And it's like mostly with the new versions of Windows, like in the last few months, that happened. And there's actually a way to do it without needing to run the command like you guys did last night. And I'll show you that too. Thanks for reminding me. Oh, Dan, were you able to open the terminal?
Yep, I did it. I was just looking away at the wrong moment. I'm good. I'm good to go.
Awesome. Yeah, so for Windows users, if you get an error where it says you need dev mode, you can actually go to your settings. So let's check this out. I'm gonna open my settings. And then in here, let's see where it was. Somewhere in here is where you can enable developer options. So let's look for a developer. You have one of these Windows 11 machines. And there you go. So it's in system for developers. And there's a toggle for enable developer mode. I think that's what it wants you to do. That's like the non-command line way. Actually, command line, I think when we had the issue for the Flutter, command line way for some reason didn't work for me. Like I tried PowerShell, I tried terminal. So I was able to find this, turning this on, fixes everything. You might need a restart after you turn it on. And this is another good one, enable sudo, but we don't seem to need that. Okay, now the actual command. So you can do npm install, that works too. But ideally, you want to install pnpm. So you want to say, node, please install this other package manager. So npm install pnpm, and then you want to give it the space dash g. So install it globally, so you don't have to install it for every project. No versions available for pnpm. Oh, I didn't spell it correctly.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. I saw that. Okay.
npm. It's just the P. It's just the extra P in front. That's the only difference. It's like a different package manager, but really it's the same. You just want to be consistent because sometimes when you have that little inconsistency, as I remember from season 1, it actually gives us an error in Vercel where it doesn't understand what's going on, which package manager to use. So if you keep it consistent, it doesn't make any like new files that are not necessary, I think. Okay, and now we can actually run the command that the README tells us to run, right? So this last command that it tells us to run is pnpm install, to install all these dependencies and all these packages. I can just paste that into the terminal. And you're gonna start seeing some sort of progress for the downloading and whatnot.
So you know how your G went kind of gray? Mine didn't work and it said that there was an error, so I tried to do the terminal again. Could you just scroll up a little bit so I can grab what you had said at the beginning of the code at the top of the terminal?
Yes. So if you're looking at the live stream right now, it's actually at the very bottom. I pulled it up so you can see. But actually, let me also scroll to the top so you can see what it ends up being. There you go. Right there. The very top. npm install pnpm space -g.
And hey, team, just to let you know, putting a Sonic bookmark here, I have a whole string of errors, so I'm going to AI Tutor to help me through. But this is where this is where I need to return to this moment in time.
Actually, Dan, what you're doing is perfect. When you do hit that, that is one of the coolest things that you can do with audio, social audio, or Twitter Spaces, is that little clip button you can clip and figure out exactly the moment that things went awry, right? and then you can go back into the video. You can also do that with the video. So we are about an hour in, so you can kind of bookmark that. And you know what? It helps in tremendous ways, especially too if something's giving you an error message now. When you have to go back and fix it or re-up it or do whatever, you are going to have to see this again. And taking that mental note, whether it's in your note-taking documents or like Sharon had mentioned last night, she's using and abusing her AI assistants. You know, these are the kinds of things that they're really good at. They're good at aggregating. So um, I appreciate you doing that, Dan. And I did it last night a couple times. I'm not even gonna lie. So yeah, it helps everybody that is struggling. All right, so Alisher, just to kind of get a ballpark, um, about how long do you think we're going to be? Because I want to make sure that we're respecting folks' time in general. We try not to make this over an hour and a half on Thursdays, but I'm trying to judge and figure out where we're at so that I can answer some DMs because they're like, "Am I missing it all, or do I have to leave, or you know those kinds of things." Go ahead.
Yeah, so we still have to connect Stripe, and we still have to generate our auth secret. So we'll
We're good. We're good. Keep
yeah.
going.
Now, Dan, if you want, you could always DM me like just a straight up picture of the error you're getting, and I'll probably receive that faster than like the reply in this space, because that's like an instant notification to me. I'll see it immediately, and then we'll address it if it's an error that everybody's seeing.
Yeah, I don't think it is. I think it's a me problem. That's why I went to AI tutor. So, but
Do you have Node installed?
there's like 17 errors, and it's walking me through. So I don't want to spend the time, fixing mine. I'd rather just have you guys keep going. And I appreciate Sarah, like just putting that little protocol in.
You may want to tell him though, Dan, because I had the same thing. I had a bunch of different ones because it may just be something small and minor that you.
It could
Yeah.
also be a cascade. It could be one
Yeah.
problem that is now cascaded into like a bazillion. So when you get the screaming errors and stuff like that, it could just be one error from the string, and then it just set. It's like Christmas lights, right? You've got one bulb that is giving you a trouble, and it can just set
Can-
off the whole thing. So
Can
yeah.
can Dan get on the stream with Alistair to share a screen fast? And you'd solve it super fast.
I could. I mean, maybe I don't. Whatever is benefit to the whole class, because I definitely. It is. It looks like a cascade. It looks like I got like a 2 out of 100 on the test. A lot of red. So.
Story of my life.
So yeah, I'm
Yeah,
willing.
Dan,
I'm willing to be a guinea pig. So sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you a link from the TSI account to the stream, so you can come and join and share your screen.
Actually not a you problem. It's just one of those things that happens. And inexperienced coders, this happens all the time. So sharing your screen, if you have it, helps everybody. But it also takes the stigma away of a total frack up, like we had done in the last class, taking the quiz, for instance. All it takes is one person to fail it, and then everybody's comfortable failing it, right? So you can take one for the team, and just know that you're checking your ego at the door. This is not labeling you as an excellent student or a substandard student. It's just saying, hey, I'm a student, and I'm going to fail faster because that's how we learn. And I know in the public domain, it's kind of rough because you're thinking, wow, people might be looking at me and thinking, I don't have the skill set or whatever. I can tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt that companies are looking for people who can handle adversity and who will pick themselves up after they've fallen, 7 times. So, those are the kinds of folks that you want on your team because they're not sussed by, a fail. They're like, oh, that worked. Okay, so that didn't work. Okay. And then you can move forward. And you're going to need that skill set, especially now in the age of AI, because if you don't have that patience or you don't have the mindset that it's not sticking to you, that's not a failure that sticks to you as a human. It's a failure of the problem or the solution that you were presenting, right? So we want to make sure everybody feels that way. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Beans. So, Dan, are you up and running?
Just real quick, Alisher, let me know where you're sending it. Like, there's so many different touch points. So I've
It's
got
gonna
all
be
the
on
links.
Ed from the TSI account. I just sent it.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, perfect. But yeah, I'll hop on. I love to fail fast, but fail forward.
Just while everybody's getting settled too, when you subscribe to TSI, whether it's My AI Tutor or Pixio, you have one 30-minute session so that they onboard you. And this is one of the things that you'll learn too. Sharing your screen makes life monumentally easier, right? So you have to kind of get over that hump. And we do know that there's certain folks, I'm one of those people that can't share a lot because I work for a lot of big companies and that violates your non-disclosures. Make sure you're on a different computer or in a different location or whatever. But it's invaluable to be able to have this kind of tailored experience. But, it's a one-on-one, it's a one and done. And then if you need help afterwards, the Mighty Networks is where you're going to go for that kind of tailored tutoring, for lack of a better term. I just wanted to put that out there that, there's lots of different pieces of this giant kind of tech in schools project, but by and large, that's kind of where it goes. But I think we're good to go. Are we, Alisher and Dan? I don't know. That might be
well,
up.
I
Sarah
don't
has
see
to
it.
fill in a little bit
Yeah,
longer.
no, I'm not seeing the message. I'm not seeing the link anywhere.
I have a quick question for you, Sarah. Maybe you know.
Sure.
I'm in the terminal spot, and I put in the npm install PNP, and then the -G was coming up gray when I saw it on Alisher's side. It's not initiating any difference. Am I putting it in the right way, do you think?
I have no
Well,
idea.
you
Okay.
can run the command. Like, you can click and run
Go
the
ahead,
command.
Alisher.
And if the command fails, then you're probably not putting it in the right way. And if it doesn't fail, then you're okay.
It failed. So this is my second try at it
Well,
again.
it's kind of like Montessori. You know what I mean? Montessori, it's either yes or no. There's no gray area, right? So that's my first inkling. If it does not go, then there is something inherently in the way, right? So, but figuring out what that is always, a whack-a-mole sometimes. But if you post, and I know you're posting down below because I'm watching. When you post it, there are other folks that are on the same system. So, like for instance, Morgan's on the same system, or Kirk is really good at troubleshooting, and even Sharon too. They can pick it out because they've failed so many times that it works really well. And I know that, and I say that with the utmost love and respect. But to me, I have not seen that. So unless I've seen it, I'm not the person to ask. I know that sucks and it's not the answer that you want, but
it all
Okay,
good
I will
today.
try to do it.
Good.
I apologize for misunderstanding that. I will find it and figure it out.
I get
But
you. I
it may
get you.
take me a second.
You're good.
Alrighty, Alisher, continue, my friends. Let's close this thing
Yeah.
down.
All right. So I'm gonna switch back to my screen, guys. And what you want to do is now the area you're getting then is Stripe related. So if you scroll up, you're gonna see a keyword in there, in those first few lines that I noticed that says Stripe. And so this is when you start connecting your Stripe API keys, right? So we're gonna need the Stripe secret. We're gonna need the Stripe webhook, and Postgres URL. We already have that. And then we're going to need the auth secret. So we're going to need all those keys properly connected. So let's start with Stripe secret key. So I'm going to go in. I'm going to log into my Stripe, stripe.com. So let's see. Here, this looks like a random Stripe account that I have. What I recommend is you guys create a new account here in your Stripe, like a new store, where you can have one Stripe login for multiple accounts. Then I'm gonna name this Thursday or season 4. Season 4. And now this is gonna instantly create a new Stripe keys for you. Everything completely separate from your previous Stripe if you're actually using it. You're gonna get your developer keys immediately. So I'm gonna get my secret key. It's gonna be the one that's kind of blocked out with asterisk. And that's gonna correspond to my Stripe secret key. And now webhook secret, well, we actually don't have webhook secret yet. So what we're gonna need to do is we're probably gonna need to launch this in order to get the webhook secret. But let's see if it works now. So I have my dependencies installed, and I have to migrate as well. So let's try these commands. npm db migrate. Migrate. Oh, I keep misspelling it. And then I'm gonna need to see it as well. And I think we'll see if just adding the secret key is enough. Ah, there you go. So just adding the secret is enough to make it work locally. You don't need the webhook secret yet. Now, what's the difference? Well, Stripe secret connects it to your actual account. It's gonna make a connection where whenever you make updates, your application is gonna know that it made updates and it's gonna update the database. And webhook secret is essentially it's gonna listen for certain events from your Stripe account and update your website. So what's up, Dan?
Yeah, back in I think it's in Visual Studio. I have so many things on my screens. But it's connected to us changing the .env from example to just from the local to just .env, and then it's saying that it wants me to commit it to the main. Is that something I need to do?
No,
Okay.
you don't need to do that yet. You don't need to do that at all. You can actually just uncheck it.
Okay, makes sense.
For now, we just want to stay local. Because we haven't really made any changes yet. But we are going to go live. We probably might not have the time in this review. But we'll make sure to review that again going live when we start next week. Okay, so right now we have it all connected. If you have your Stripe secret key here, you should be able to run the seed command again. So if you just click up on your keyboard there and just run the pnpm seed command, it should start working. Because it seems like you only need the Stripe secret key for it to make the connection. For now, at this stage. And now I think we should also be able to actually start it. So pnpm dev dev should start this project for you. And here it is, localhost 3000. And yeah, it seems to be running just fine. It's connected to a database. Now there's some more instructions in the GitHub that if we read through, okay, so it says that it creates a user, test@test.com with password admin123. So we can try to sign in using this that it gives us. Now, where's the sign in? There it is. Oh, this is a lot nicer than the one we used in season 1. There you go. Once you sign in, looks like it's all working. Okay, now in terms of going live, all you guys really need to do is just go to Vercel, connect it, and copy your credentials. Right. So let's try to put this up live before we finish. We'll take 2 seconds. So I'm gonna go to Vercel. We don't need to update anything. We don't need to commit anything because we haven't really made any code changes besides the env. Now Vercel.com, you want to make sure you're signed up. You have an account for this. If you were in season 1, you most likely have an account. If you don't, highly recommend. This is free hosting. This is where you can have your website for free and public. And I'm going to add a new project. And the first thing that I have should be the next SaaS starter kit because it's the latest project that I've been working on. And then I can import. And here, all of these are going to be the built and output settings. This is all going to be pretty standard. But what we want is the environment variables. These environment variables is going to correspond to our env file. And what I can do is I can copy all these variables at once, and I can just paste it in. You don't have to do it one by one. It'll fill them in automatically. And all we really need to do after deploying is get the webhook secret, get the base URL, and get the auth secret. So let's click deploy. You can see some logs. You can see what it's actually doing. It's pulling all the packages. If you just use npm instead of pnpm, you might actually get an error here because of the mismatch. But since we were able to keep it consistent, everything works as expected. And what do you think, guys? Do we have an extra 15 minutes in us to finish up the last few variables?
Absolutely. I am gonna try to find a charger, just so you know. I'm giving you a heads up, Cash Money. But go ahead, Alisher, continue.
So it looks like my build is actually going to work. You know, it's building all these pages, compiling everything. Seems to be doing just fine. Took a little over a minute. And let's see, we can go to our dashboard. It's going to give you a domain. So this gives you free Vercel domains, as many as you want. And when you go to that domain, well, it's going to look exactly the same as we have it locally on our computer. Some things you guys are going to notice, base, plus, you don't really have these set up yet properly. But this should work. You should be able to log in. Now, there's a few variables that we had left over, right? So the first variable that we're going to fix is the base URL. So when we're locally, base URL is, of course, localhost. But now that we're on Vercel, our base URL is the domain that Vercel gives us, or whatever custom domain you end up connecting, right? But this is our base URL now, the one that we need to use. So in Vercel, we're going to go to settings. We're going to go to environment variables, and you will be able to edit your base URL there. You're going to have base URL. It's going to be blocked out. You just need to edit and change localhost to the URL that Vercel gives you. And let's see, for consistency, you do not need a / at the end. So make sure that your base URL does not end in a /. Okay, now we have the webhook secret. So base URL, that just sets the URL. This should, actually, I don't think it redeploys. No. So we're going to redeploy in a bit after we connect this other environment variable. So the other environment variable was Stripe webhook secret. And this, what this essentially does is it triggers a script on your website, right? And if we read through the README file, so we have our README right here. If we keep reading, it kind of tells us that this right here is our Stripe webhook. And it says optionally you can listen to Stripe webhook locally.
And Sarah, your mic is lagging, by the way. I think it might be because your Bluetooth might be dying. But yeah, I think it might be that. Or switching over from Bluetooth. Or I might have to, yeah, I'm gonna have to send her on a lap. Sorry about that, Sarah. And then we'll get your question here in a second. And then Alistair, what were you saying? Sorry about that.
Yeah, so for the Stripe webhook, if you start reading through some of this README, it actually tells you right here, set up a production Stripe webhook. Perfect. So it says go to Stripe dashboard, check, we're in our Stripe dashboard, create a new webhook, and now it says set the endpoint URL to your domain /API /Stripe /webhook. This is going to directly correspond to your files. So let's try to do that. So where's my Stripe? Like here? No. I had to open somewhere else. There it is, season 4. You're going to go to developers in Stripe. This is where all the webhooks are handled. This is how you know you're a real developer. You're going to the developer console in Stripe. You're going to webhooks. And this is where we have add an endpoint. Right? This correlates directly to the directions that it's giving us. And now our endpoint URL, it's going to be our domain /API /Stripe /webhook, I think. Let's double check. So this is in the README right here. Set up a production Stripe webhook, step 2. And yeah, it's /API /Stripe /webhook. And now it says select the events. So we're going to see there's hundreds of events that our app can listen to and react to from the Stripe API. And select the events you want to listen to. Okay. So unfortunately, it doesn't specify which ones specifically it wants. So we're just going to listen to all of them. I'm gonna do select all events. This is not a good practice, but unfortunately, we don't really know which events the app wants. Since this is a starter kit, you can do anything. So for events, you're gonna select all of them. There's a select all button right at the top. And this is where we can get our webhook secret. So Stripe webhook secret, it's right here where it says signing secret. So it's gonna start in WHSEC, webhook secret. And now we're gonna update our Vercel variable once again. So we'll go to Vercel, and here where we have Stripe webhook secret, we're gonna change it to the one that we just created. And this is gonna make that connection with Stripe, where whenever somebody signs up in Stripe, they get an active subscription, and yeah, okay. Now we need to redeploy, and the easiest way to redeploy is to make a change. So let's see, how are we gonna do this? Well, we'll redeploy from here. We don't need to make a change. There's another way. We can go to deployments, and most of us should just have the one deployment, and you can click on the options on the three dots here, and just click redeploy. Sometimes that doesn't. It's not always like 100% method where it'll always work because sometimes there's some cache going on, so you might need to go and make like a small change to the readme, put a space somewhere, and then redeploy. And that will trigger like a full rebuild. So hopefully this rebuilds. It usually takes about a minute. Then everything should be connected. And then the auth secret, well, you can set it up properly. You can ask AI Tutor for like a random 32 character string. You can run the command for it. But ultimately, as you see, it was optional. I could just have those three asterisks there. But for security purposes, you do want a random long string there because then that will prevent people from intercepting the info. You know, it's going to encrypt the info better. Okay, and that's pretty much all we did last night. Is we set up our template project, right? This is our front end. This is what we're gonna start building out from. So for next week, if you guys want to go and review season 1 and how we started making changes, if you have V0 and you want to start building out the front page, so this front page that you see here, you can start doing that. Because this is very basic, right? It just gives you like 3 blocks and that's about it. But if you go to the different AI tools, you can slowly start building it out. Now, let's see. Let's see if I can create an account. I'm going to make an account for myself. This is the real test. All right, cool. So it signs me up. It immediately puts me on the free tier. And let's see if I can change that. And there you go. When I click get started, it oh, don't expose my payment info. Gee. When we click get started, it seems like there is that Stripe connection. It opens up Stripe for me. It says season 4. That's what I just created. It's in test mode, so we can actually buy this and test this. If you guys remember, the test Stripe credentials are 4242 the whole way through. And you can put whatever future date there is, whatever security number there is. This name doesn't need to be real. And this should work. This should redirect me back and everything. And there you go. Now it knows I'm on Plus. I'm no longer in the free subscription. So we are gonna probably test this again when we get in season two. I'm gonna try to put this recording up as soon as possible. This the recap one specifically because it's like the short and sweet version. And yeah, just make sure for next week, guys, you're up to this part where you have it set up. It's in Vercel. You go in and you try to sign up. Very important. You try to subscribe, and once all that works, you're ready for the next part. This recording will be going up ASAP.
Alisher, I just want to thank you. You do a fantastic job. And it's always so refreshing. You know, you have two different versions, and it is wonderful. It is absolutely wonderful. These Thursdays are such a gift to me personally. I can't even thank you enough. The pace is different, and the rooms are different, and it's just easier for me actually to concentrate. And I just wanted to say thank you for that. We're bringing up the last bit. I had a question from Title actually. He's getting a paywall actually in the Slack. So they're telling him that he has to have a subscription to access our class. And I don't know, I can't figure this one out. I've been working on it for the last 15 minutes. I don't know how that, what's going on.
Title's just gonna have to hand over like $5,000
know.
to the
I'll tell you
ITT
what, there's
account,
something
and
wonky
then
there,
we're gonna
and
split.
I don't know. I don't want it to be a problem for other students, so I have to fix that part. So I'm putting that on your radar, Alisher, because it's out of my wheelhouse. I've never
seen
seen
it.
it before either.
If I remember correctly, Title is already in the Slack from last season.
See, that's what I thought, but I think he's getting an error message, and so I don't know. I'm trying to figure that one out. Okay, so we're tying it up with a bow. Dan has a question for you, and yeah, once again, Alisher, you know I think the world of you, and Nick Alisher Ross, the entire group, are just stellar human beings, and I know I'm a better human because I have you in my pocket family, but just in my heart all the time. You guys are just wonderful, and I thank you for using your superpowers for good. Go ahead, Dan, and then we'll get to Title.
Well, actually, it was title related. So I'm a Slack or administrator for our team. So I can troubleshoot, but I'd love to hear what the problem is. Title.
It's the weirdest thing. It's like I have a Slack account, and then it's saying that I have to like pay to get access to outside Slacks, and it's the weirdest thing. So I can see my
You've
Slack.
been in there for a little while too, right?
Yeah, yeah. And they gave me like a
You're
day
already up
counter,
there.
like 59 days or whatever. So I mean, I haven't been on Slack in a while, but I would assume that now that counters. So I've got to double check to see what happens. But yeah, to access this Slack was an outside Slack from my Slack, and it said I had to upgrade my account to a subscription account because free Slack wouldn't cut it anymore. So
I think I know what's going on. So I think it's a token thing. I know that TSI has a little Slack deal. So I think what I would recommend first is just logging out Title, and then logging back in with the email that you are in the TSI. And it should prompt everything and just kind of reset a lot of those parameters that are getting messed up. But that's happened to me several times with other accounts.
Well, it puts out a really good point, just in general, Dan, that all of the things that we use, for instance, if we have a previous Stripe account, right, you're crossing the streams when you are using some of the stuff from our digital backpacks, right? So you want to make sure that you are starting scratch, starting fresh, and not cross-pollinating, not crossing the streams of existing accounts, because when that happens, then we get issues, whether it's people that had Vercel prior, or, it kind of can get very confusing. So just make sure, because I know that Stripe is another one that folks have a major problem with. And also, just for the record's sake, you can have Stripe on test mode, right? For those of you that aren't ready to launch yet, or still have some missing pieces, you don't want to wreck that, because once you wreck it, it's really hard to redo. So we'll just put that there. Go ahead, Title.
Yeah, I'll ask about Stripe later if there's a test bug. but the back to the first thing. Thanks for answering one of a zillion questions, and I don't expect all my questions to ever be answered. So there was a TSI Slack email I was supposed to set up. I thought it was our own accounts from the past.
No,
I didn't know there was.
It's your own account, yeah.
What's that?
It is your own account, yeah.
Okay. Because I've been in and out of it before, and it keeps the same thing that was popping up. So I'll try it again to log out and log in, and if I don't know, maybe I'll just start another account. I guess. I don't.
Well,
But here-
Title, you're going to have the same problem with your Mighty Networks too. Always put a bookmark for your class. Have a class file so that you know exactly where the pathways lead. Because if you go through the outside, outside the parameters of our class, out of the Velociraptor, enclosure, right? You're out in the wild, and then you have to apply to the out in the wild rules, if that makes sense. Go ahead, Title.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to stay inside, but the thing is that there have been a couple of data leaks that came out. I clicked on something that looked innocent. It was very Google Drive scanned, but I said, no, I'm not taking the risk. So I just like nuked everything again in my browsers. You know what I mean? And
I do
now
it
it's
also.
funny. You know what I mean? No, like it was someone else's bill, and I figured out what the attack was. Was like they're sending me something, so when I click it, they'll see who the actual email is behind my proxy email. So because of the data leak, I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. But anyway, that's a bit of a side. You guys, thanks so much. This is always great, Alistair. You do a great job. I love the hour wrap ups, especially when I'm busy in the morning trying to get to work. And I'm gonna watch the video and try to sort out my other questions with a lot of other people out here, like Morgan, my friend who got me into this cult, this church. I mean, into this AI thing.
Hi, Paul, guys. Hi, Paul.
Is
And-
awesome. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Title, if you want to meet later, but whenever it's convenient for you, I can walk you through some Slack stuff because yeah, I think I know what's going on.
I think that's awesome. Dan,
Oh,
you're awesome.
also,
Go ahead,
Title,
Alistair.
I invited you to our workplace directly. So try to check your email. You know which email you use for Slack, right? You just give me a thumbs up. And you should have an invitation maybe in that Gmail that you've used before in Slack.
All right. Everything's great. We're all going to make sure. And if you don't see your friends there, then you be the awesome person and invite them. If you are seeing that there was a missing face, each and every one of you, we want to make sure everybody's included. I see that Chidzu has also arrived. I hope that you can listen to the recording because today was a really good one. It was a quick and easy, down and dirty, folks. And that's the way we do it here on Thursdays. So at any rate, I do think we are about done. Is that correct, Alistair?
Yeah, we're all done. I'm gonna have to go as well. I have a meeting at like 1 o'clock. So
Well, you
thank you
got to get
guys.
something
Thank
to
you,
eat, something to drink, and you got to, use the facilities. If you mention our name, you'll get a good seat. So I'll just leave it there. At any rate, each and every one of you, I hope the rest of the day treats you kindly. I'm so proud that you made time for yourself today, that you tithed this time to you, to bettering yourself, getting some new skills, stretching the envelope a little bit, stretching outside of your comfort zone, and learning to fail faster and forward, as they say. So I wanted to thank Josh Hellman and Matea and Cash Money Kev, all of those folks. Luke also making sure that they're getting everything ready for all of us. They're setting the table. They do the banquet setting, and then Alistair comes with the main course. He, Nick, and Ross. I'll get it right. With Tech in Schools. If you do not have the Tech in Schools suite of tools, make sure you're using the ITT code for the 20% off. So I will leave you with that. Each and every one of you go on to greatness. I hope the rest of the day treats you kindly. And if you need anything, just holler. We'll see you shortly. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Go ahead, Cash Money.
And Alistair, I saw your mic was unmuted, man. Did you have any last little closing notes yourself?
No, not really, but I will remind you guys, try your best to get this connected. You could always DM me, feel free. I have some free slots throughout the week. I can help you out, guys. This is probably, the hardest piece of connection you're gonna make this season. So it's really important because this is like the foundation of it being a SaaS, something you can charge the money for. So our entire season one got compressed into this 1 week. So just make sure you try to follow through. If you need to watch the recording, feel free. This will be up within a few hours, and feel free to message me, message Ross, message in Slack. There's actually a new channel in Slack. I'll post the link in general. So we're gonna keep all the seasons separate in separate channels. But yeah, really good job, guys. I saw a lot of progress. I saw a lot of you launch it yesterday, and also launch it today. And we'll see you guys next week.
Awesome, Alistair. Yeah, I just want to say good job, everybody. I'll keep this short because I know Alistair just got his meeting. I'll see you guys in ITT number 70. Be sure to check out Sarah's space tomorrow and Alistair's space with Sharon tomorrow as well. Also, shout out Kirk for hosting the Afterglow last night. It was pretty awesome. And he'll be doing another one after the ITT on Saturday. Well done, guys. If you all also piggybacking off of Alistair's closing notes, if you need help, feel free to DM me at Cash Money Cavs account, and I'll be sure to help you out any way I can. Alistair, I gotta say, great job today, man. I got caught up perfectly. I was like Kirk. I messed up like the dot envelope on the env file and a couple other things, and then we fixed that up this morning because I was busy last night dealing with DMs and making sure everybody's getting onboarded perfectly. But I'm just happy everybody's caught up, and thanks for putting out that Notion guide. Everybody go check that out, and I'll see you guys Saturday, and I'll leave you with the 3 famous words from Josh Hellman: peace, love, and innovate.